In my July reading wrap-up, I was listening to a lot of Reddit, no-sleep, creepypasta style stories instead of reading some more traditional and independently published stories. One of the reasons for this is I've had like a huge life change go on, and I've started a new job where I have to travel to work back and forth instead of working from home. FYI, I am a technical writer by trade. I am open to taking some commission work at this point in time. I do copy editing, format and style editing, developmental editing. I work on presentation formatting, all of those kinds of things. So if you have something like that that you need help with, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to talk to you about my experience and the kind of price range we would do for that sort of work. But another reason that I haven't been reading as much is just that I've been kind of stuck in a reading slump. And something I thought I would do is borrow a video style from Izzy over at Happy For Now called a Kindle Unlimited reading refresh. And it's because I've just been holding on to a ton of titles on my Kindle Unlimited, and it's kind of been like filling all my space up. I've been sort of like telling myself I have to read these books before I can pick out something new. Start returning a couple things regardless of whether or not I feel like I should hold on to them or not. In the Not Right Now category, I have several of Octavia E. Butler's work. She's an author that I read a lot more of last year, with my favorite being Parable of the Sower and Parable of Talents. Part of why I hold on to a bunch of her books is because different ones go on and off Kindle Unlimited, so when I see them, I scoop them up. But I've been holding on to quite a few of these for over a year. Those books are going to include Seed to Harvest, On, and the Wild Seed series. Having these books on my Kindle Unlimited just feel like pressure to do something I can't manage right now. Next is going to be The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boudlet. I'm really interested in reading this, but right now I'm just not in the mood for anything young adult. Next is going to be The Scarlet Odyssey by C.T. Raziwi. I read the Black Stars collection back in February, and I sort of fell in love with the Afrofuturism genre and was looking for more of it when I came across the series that C.T. Raziwi has on Kindle Unlimited. It's a 3-book series, and each book seems to be 500-ish pages. So that is a really big commitment, and it's kind of holding me back from really picking it up and enjoying it. It's got a male lead protagonist, and even though they are exploring like some gender swap roles and some things that I usually enjoy in fiction, I'm really looking for something that's like a female-led, female-centered kind of story right now, and I'm looking for things that are shorter and less commitment. What I'm adding actually after I finish scripting this is going to be Noctidia by Carrie Lake. I was going to hold on to this and try and read it because I really love gothic fiction. I love stories about places that were once like creepy asylums and have been converted into something else. We get all that old mental health treatment. We usually get a very tragic story. It's almost always like a strongly female-centered thing. But here's the deal. This story is one of those academy stories, and it has a dark romance slash forbidden romance between a student and a teacher, and I really hate that. Earlier this year, I read Rhapsodic, and that was like a fae creature and a siren, where the fae creature was a lot older and the siren was a minor when they met. It had things that felt like very Grimoire-esque in it and made me feel gross reading it and very uncomfortable and very unhappy with that love triangle, specifically because the book kept pushing that the male character was to be commended because like nothing romantic happened while they were minors or whatever, but it was clear that he was interested in just like waiting. And if I had such a strong reaction to that one earlier in the year where nothing happened while she was a minor and then they had a 7-year break and came back and got together, I'm definitely not going to be down for a high school student currently enrolled and dealing with his professor falling in love and having a relationship. I have one book I'm not ready to let go of and probably should. That's going to be Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreo Garcia. The reason I'm not ready to let it go is because Silvia Moreo Garcia is one of my new favorite authors. She doesn't usually get a lot of stuff on Kindle Unlimited, and just because you see it one time doesn't mean it will ever come back on Kindle Unlimited. At least that's a trend I've noticed with her books. And Certain Dark Things is no longer quote-unquote available through Kindle Unlimited, so I am afraid if I remove it, I will never get a chance to read it again. That said, I have tried to read this book 3 or 4 times and failed. I'm gonna save this as potentially a September, October, like spooky season read, and if I can't make it happen during those months, I'm going to return it. that I have already downloaded that I'm still gonna try to read. She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. It has a girl who dresses like a man trope to become like a warrior and survive and get control over her life, a la Alana the Lioness or Mulan. This is a kind of story that I love and just usually eat up. So I'm gonna hold on to this one even though I don't feel specifically motivated this second to pick it up. The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nhi Vo. I'm gonna hold on to this one because it sounds pretty intriguing. It's got like a classic 20s era Americana, and I do love like a roaring 20s story. Even though I hate The Great Gatsby, I like the overall atmosphere that's involved in it. Earlier this year, I read Bacchanalia by Veronica Henry Roth, and that one was like a retro Americana carnival circus sort of thing with a magical element. Even though these time periods are different and the setup are different, I love that retro Americana with magic pairing, and I'm hoping I'll get a little bit of the same feel here, even though it's a very different time period and very different scenario. They Never Tell by Shay Sanders. So Ashley over at Bookish Realm recommended this as a book that was underhyped, and it's about a bunch of families coming together and like creating a pact to try and keep their kids succeeding and into their best possible destiny together when a tragedy strikes, and they all decide to sort of like cover it up because it shouldn't stop their children from having a great future. And then like their decision to hide that information causes trouble between the families and between the children, their suspicions. It seems like there might be like a killer or an unresolved situation going on there. And this premise kind of reminded me of like those old school Lois Duncan books, which I just ate up that specific thriller genre in my teen years. I found that like it was specifically Lois Duncan I liked and not necessarily that genre. But I think this could be a good way to like test the waters in my adult years. Mouthful of Ashes by Brianna Morgan. First of all, I think this book is 123-ish pages, so it's not very long. And next, it has a female protagonist finding out about a gang of boardwalk vampires, very much like Lost Boys-esque. And I just love the setup of the premise. I love a boardwalk scenario. I like vampires. The whole thing just really appeals to me aesthetically and sounds like a fun time. Halloween Fiend by C.V. Hunt. Gloria McNeely suggested this one like well over a year ago now. I saw it had come up on Kindle Unlimited. I don't think it was available on KU at the time that she recommended it. We're sort of starting to go into Halloween season. It's a short novella length, and it sounds like an interesting mixture between something that's like sort of cute and funny and scary and creepy. So it's got like a little bit of a Gremlins-esque vibe to me. Couple things that I have downloaded that I think might inspire me to read some finally. Fuse by E.L. Todd. This is an epic fantasy story about the first human elvish person sort of like befriending a dragon, and when she heals the dragon it transforms back into a person. She finds out that this person is trying to free like these forced fusions between people and dragons and let dragons be free again, and they need her because she has elvish blood and is able to cross between the human world and the elvish world, and they're going to go on a journey together to like get freedom for dragons. This is on my list because I love dragons, specifically dragon shifters, so I think that's kind of exciting. It seems like there might be both a great adventure sort of quality to this and like a fun romance, and I also like a half human, half elf-like story, at least in RP games, so I'm gonna see if that crosses over into fiction. Next is gonna be Firstborn, the complete series by Isla Frost. I know I said that I didn't want to read anything long, but the complete series is only 600 pages, which is the amount that a lot of like fantasy books are for just book one. And the other thing I liked about this Firstborn series is the general premise is that a bunch of supernatural creatures have come through portals, kind of taken over the earth. Humans only live in like these sanctuary cities, and the way that they continue to get protected is every year they give up their firstborn children through the portals, and that kind of like maintains their existence. We're following one of the girls who gets sacrificed through the portals, and she is like on a mission to save her people and survive and all that kind of stuff. So it sounded fun, like a good fighter chick kind of story, and it sounded like there was a mystery. Next is going to be Chained by Casey Lee and Ravenstorm. This is first in a 3-book trilogy that is about 278 pages, so not very long. It is a werewolf shifter romance, and it's like a stereotypical rejected mate kind of this story. What interested me about it is, in this case, the rejected female mate is supposed to be like a female alpha wolf, and that's a problem because there are no female alphas. That's part of why she's getting rejected and kicked around by a lot of the pack. So it's sort of interesting to have an alpha who's a female, and also to have an alpha who seems to be getting bullied, targeted, harassed. That's not like standard in these stories. Also, the bottom paragraph in the summary says, if you like Jaime and Eve, Kelly St. Clair, Leah Stone, then this might be for you. I have read quite a few of Jaime and Eve stories, and I've read 2 or 3 of Leah Stone's stories like way back in 2016. I didn't particularly care for the execution, but I did enjoy the summaries and like general premise. So I'm curious to give these 2 authors a try and see where they land on like the rejected mates werewolf shifter style story. Next I have The Weakest Wolf by Eva Bale. This one is another one of those werewolf shifter stories, rejected mates, lady seeking protection in another werewolf pack with another alpha. What interested me specifically about this story is that the main character says she has secrets that she'll do anything to protect. What kind of secrets? I'll probably find out pretty early in whether or not I want to continue with that or not. And to go with that, I have Obsession by Meg Ann and Kay Lorraine. I'm not gonna lie, the cover is a big part of what got me to pick up this book. I don't know if this dude's got suspenders on or if this is a belt situation, but I thought it was like a cute pose. And I'm not entirely opposed to the summary. The interesting hook in this like rejected mates premise, the girl rejected the man in this case, and it seems like she rejected him specifically because she's a werewolf shifter who can't shift. And that's the other hook that's interesting. Got a little bit further into the summary, and it also looks like instead of just being werewolf shifter thing, it's going to be a why choose romance that includes a couple other supernatural beings. This one is kind of long. It's 436 pages, so it's much lower on the list than some of the other ones that I've mentioned so far. Next is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. This just sounded like a fabulous horror story. Someone gets obsessed with this writing on the wall in their uncle's like basement, and they discover a bunch of portals to a bunch of places with dangerous, creepy, unknown stuff. It seems like a little bit like a significantly darker version of Coraline. It just feels like very tense and atmospheric and interesting, and just sort of similar to the vibes I'm getting in a lot of those Reddit no sleep style stories. So I think it might be a great way for me to transition back into more traditional reading. And this last one that I'm probably going to end up reading first, The Dragon's Pretend Marriage. This one sounds like a lot of fun. It's about dragon shifters, which you know I'm into to start. It's got like this girl who has a crush on like her brother's friend over here, and he spent like a lot of their childhood kind of making fun of her and taunting her for this crush. Anyways, they're both adults now, and both of them are getting pressure from their families to find a mate and settle down. She wants to like get her revenge on him and also get her family off her back by proposing a fake mating ceremony. It seems like he agrees, but at the same time is playing his own kind of games. I like the arranged marriage. I like the little bit of bullying and vengeance story. I just think there's a lot of fun elements in here that'll keep it light and fluffy and moving for me. I'm thinking out loud right now, and I'm probably going to end up reading these and vlogging about them as I go. So you'll probably get an update on these Kindle Refresh titles as I read them and figure out if I'm going to finish them or not. But what about you guys? How is your reading going this year? Are you in a slump? Are you just like speeding through them? Do you have any suggestions or recommendations for me in like fantasy, science fiction, or horror that maybe I should continue reading? Let me know in those comments down below. And if you've got nothing else for me, leave me a wolf or a dragon emoji. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep reading. Bye!